Case, what is the state of the pickup truck world right now?
Well, that's what we have to find out because we have the Q3 sales reports from all the major truck brands and all the major trucks that we can look through.
Yeah, and I think, when you look at pickup truck sales, which is one of the most popular segments, in the industry, I think it also kind of points to where the economy maybe is or is going. So let's take a look. So I have a report. I put it together for full-size trucks, including heavy duties, right? And also we have mid-size trucks. And there's some good news and there's some bad news. Let's start with bad news.
Yeah, well, one of the bolden numbers here is under the Ram trucks side of things, down 19% from 2023 to 2024 for Q3.
Yeah, exactly. So, so they're right here. Weird things are happening at Stellantis. So, I mean, we've done several videos on this topic. We talked about Jeep, we talked about Ram. Usually, I think the main problem is, first of all, high prices.
Yeah.
Right? If you look at heavy-duty pickup trucks and also Ram 1500s, specifically, I think they were priced a little bit too high, so a lot of people were looking elsewhere, right? And also older products, right? For example, if you compare Ram heavy duties to like GM and Ford have newer transmissions, newer equipment in a lot of their trucks.
Yeah, and it's not just Ram trucks, it's really Stellantis in general as a whole is down about 20%.
Yeah.
Do you think some of that is potentially from them phasing out some vehicles that have a big cult following, like the TRX supercharged V8?
Challenger, Charger, Dodges.
Yeah, the Hemi's going away.
Yes. So there's a lot going on there. So hopefully, the RHO is coming out very soon.
True.
The new heavy duty was just teased as a concept truck for
which
SEMA.
is a big deal.
Yeah, so
It's
that
been a
was
while.
that's going to be great. So, but there is some good news. For example, GM is holding steady.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's just neutral, right?
Yeah, exactly. About almost the same number.
Yeah, exactly. But Ford is growing. So Ford, of course, they've had a few issues, with some parts suppliers, and components and some recalls. But they are growing sales, and that's nice to see. But if you combine Silverado and Sierra, they're still number one.
Yeah, and it is interesting though because, and we'll look at it a bit more detail in a second, but GM really does a extensive breakdown of which trucks are selling, what
better
numbers.
Than others, yeah.
The Fords are just lumped all together, so the F-150 and the HDs are all lumped into one.
Yeah, the Super Duties, and they go all the way up to 600. So they have F350s, 450s, 550s, and 600s, they all have the same cab, right?
Yeah.
And they all get lumped into F-Series.
So that's including commercial chassis cab.
Yeah, so it's including all of those. And then Ram also includes chassis cabs in their numbers. Toyota Tundra is doing really well, so that's pretty good news.
Yeah, it's up about 20%, still nowhere near the numbers of some of the domestic brands here. Yeah. But it's an increase, which is nice for them.
Of course, we'll talk about electric trucks in a second. Nissan Titan finished production. They're discontinued. That the truck, is no more being produced. But there are a few of them still found customers.
Yeah.
Last quarter.
Yeah, so a few that were left on the lot.
And Hummer, they combine truck and SUV together. So that's about the number for all electric Hummers. So what's going on with Lightning? Lightning is growing. So F-150 Lightning, Ford breaks it out just a little bit there. Cybertruck, Tesla reported sales, but their Cybertruck sales are lumped in with Model X and S. They're older cars.
A little strange. It doesn't give us a ton of information.
No, so either the Model X and S cars are doing poorly, or I don't know.
Yeah.
So we don't know. We don't have the number. They're selling a few because we see a lot of Cybertrucks running around.
For sure, especially here around Boulder.
Yeah, and we just published a video, so check out alltfl.com. Tommy and I think, did you also try the full self-driving?
Yeah, we did a little impromptu live stream testing out the full self-driving.
In the Cybertruck.
Supervised.
It's called supervised. You cannot fall asleep.
Yeah,
right.
You got to pay attention.
Yes. So Rivian, their sales reports are usually delayed. So we don't know how Rivian is doing quite recently. But Silverado EV and Sierra EVs, they're growing, slowly.
Yeah, so they were new last year, so
Brand new.
Production wasn't necessarily up to speed, but those are the numbers that we're seeing. And as compared to a lot of the combustion trucks, They're much smaller numbers. The Lightning, though, of all of these, is by far the winner.
Yeah, so far, but Cybertruck may beat the Lightning, we just don't know.
Yeah, that's true. We don't have the breakdown on all of them, but what we do have.
All of these are the Denali's. So Sierra EVs, they start with the Denali Edition 1. So these are all premium trucks, about $99,000 a snap.
Yeah.
Most of these are actually base trucks, right? The work trucks, Silverado EVs. So overall, the market is down 0.6%. So not a huge change. So I think I'm hopeful still a little bit.
I think it is interesting, though, if you combine all of GM's EV trucks on this platform between the Hummer EV, Silverado EV, and Sierra EV starting to pick up some steam here. It's close to,
close to
pretty
Ford.
similar to the F-150 Lightning number.
Yeah, and Ram hasn't produced any or sold any Ram electric trucks yet.
Yeah.
And we're not including the vans. So the van is a whole different thing. Okay, so GM breaks it out just a little bit more, like you said, right? And I found this super interesting. First of all, Chevrolet is down. You see this?
And especially in the HDs.
Especially in the HD market, they're down. GMC is up in a huge way, especially in the light duty department. So why do you think the swing between Chevy being down and GMC being up?
You know, we were talking about that a little bit off camera, and it's hard to say. All we can do is speculate, but maybe it has to do with styling. Obviously, the GMC trucks are generally going to be more expensive, even comparable model to comparable model from Chevy to GMC. The GMC is going to be more expensive, but maybe more people are leasing the GMCs, and so the price difference isn't as much of a factor, but it's hard to say. And when we look at the mid-size trucks, little spoiler, but we'll see the same thing reflected from GMC to Chevy. GMCs are selling better.
Yeah, that's interesting. So we don't have, obviously, a statement from GM about this, and I don't think we'll get one.
No.
But let's, like you said, let's look at the mid-sizers, and now a lot more good news, right?
Yeah.
So there was some not so good news in the full-size market, but in the mid-size market, look, the entire segment grew almost 5% quarter to quarter. Ford bounced back. So if you look at Ford Ranger, they bounced back in a huge way, and they're kind of where they used to be.
Yeah.
Right? Their switch over from previous generation to the current generation was super slow. But now they're kind of back.
And if you look by comparison, previous generation to current generation Tacoma, on this list, that is the only one that is down. But at the same time, as has been consistent over the last many years, they are still the winner as far as total sales.
Well, we're not in the winter quite yet.
No.
But yeah, so Tacoma, this was interesting, right? They also had the generational switch.
Yep.
It wasn't as long drawn out as Ford, but they're kind of bouncing back to where they kind of used to be.
Yeah.
But it's taken them several months and several quarters to do so. But there's some more bad news, dude. The Gladiator.
Yeah.
The Gladiator is down 35% quarter to quarter. Ouch.
Once again, some bleak statistics coming from Stellantis there. And it makes sense. The Gladiator at this point feels pretty aged, especially compared to the fact that the Colorado and the Canyon are still fairly new. The Ranger and the Tacoma just recently updated, and even the Frontier updated not so long ago. So by comparison, the Gladiator is starting to feel a little old.
And I think this is also a sign, and we can also look at the Ford Maverick, which is doing really great. The new 2025 Maverick pictured here is not on sale yet. We actually ordered one of these.
Yeah, and hopefully it should be showing up soon.
Yes, maybe within a month or two. But look at the numbers. They're still growing. They're sold about 31,000.
Look at that, a 33% increase. That's huge.
Still. And it's not a brand new truck.
Yeah.
You know, it's been around for 2.5 years. And if you look at this number, 31,008, if you compare it to like the mid-sizers, that's more than Chevy Colorado sold.
Yeah,
You know,
that's a good number.
so I think that's a sign that I think consumers like lower prices.
Yeah.
Because the Maverick, you can get into one for $30K.
Yeah.
Pretty easily. I mean, with options.
And it's a generally thrifty truck, especially in hybrid form. Good fuel economy. Yeah, it's a good buy.
Yeah, and also a lot of the mid-sizers, they call them garageable, right? Because their length is like less than 18 feet, so you can put them in most garages across the country. They're a little bit more compact, obviously, than full-sizers, and it seems, and they're cost less, right? So it seems like people are appreciating smaller, cheaper vehicles rather than those humongous, big, expensive ones.
Yeah, which you can speak to personally because you have a Colorado that you bought around about a year ago, maybe a little more.
It's like a year and a half ago, and I paid about $41K.
Yeah.
And it's a very capable machine. So
Oh, yeah.
it's
It
good.
tows your boat, goes off-road, hauls things.
Goes on road trips.
Yeah.
There's another news story. Let's hit some more news. This is pretty huge. Zach wrote this up. All 2025 Chevy Colorados receive cruise control.
Wow. For those who don't know, and I'd be surprised if there's many, because we've kind of harped on this quite a bit. Andre ordered his Chevy Colorado before all of the information about what
And before
the packages
pricing
were.
came out, yes.
Exactly. So when you ordered your Colorado, there wasn't that breakdown on how much different packages would cost, so you got it as simple as possible, and it came without cruise control, which is a little crazy because I, at the same time, had a 1988 Corvette that did have cruise control. So you've gotten a lot of flack.
Yeah, I have, and I still have this truck, and I'll be doing an update soon because I'm approaching 20,000 miles on my truck, so stay tuned for that. But I think I'm ready for something new.
Yeah.
I might be selling my truck within a couple of months, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But yeah, check out TFLtruck.com. We have several news articles, as you can see here, and lots of news, dude. This week also, the Expedition, the brand new 2025 Ford Expedition is going to drop. We have more news in the SUV space. And speaking of space.
Oh yeah, you did something interesting a little while ago.
Yes.
A week or two ago.
I will be reviewing or showing at least, a lunar rover.
Yeah.
But not a previous lunar rover. This is the next generation lunar rover that's being designed and built right now that will go to the moon hopefully within the next few years.
Yeah, and it's something that's been worked on locally here.
Yeah, in Colorado.
Yeah, which is really cool.
So stay tuned a couple more days and we'll have some space news.
So are you going to give any indication, any teaser on what truck you're going to buy to replace the Colorado?
It's not going to be a lunar rover.
No? Damn.
Because I don't have millions of dollars.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not a cheap vehicle.
So I want
May
the full
I
size.
propose,
I want the full size truck.
or,
What?
hear me out,
What?
when the new Cummins comes out, you should get that. 'Cause
Yes.
You had a
So-
Ford last, you've got a Chevy now.
I gotta go Ram. You're
I
right.
think you have to.
Yes. So I agree with you.
You got to help their sales.
I also have never owned a Toyota.
Oh, okay.
So I'm really torn. Like, should I get a Toyota truck or should I get a Ram truck? I really want to own a Ram too.
Yeah.
But it has to be full size. I cannot get a Tacoma. Like, if I got a Tacoma, it's got the same problem. I want to put my family into it and be a little bit more comfortable.
What's the difference between a full size and an HD? I think you'd be
No,
happy to be back in an HD.
I agree with you. I used to have a Silverado HD.
True, you had a Duramax.
Yeah. So let us know. Let me know what you think I should get.
Yeah, and try to convince Andre to get an HD.
But dude, did you see those Ram sales numbers? They're down, which
Yeah.
means there are discounts currently.
That's true. Yeah, some good deals to be had, and then it's also worth keeping in mind that around the corner, in a few months' time, we should be seeing a new HD Ram coming out. So,
Well, they
Interesting.
showed some images of it already. So, yep, it's
so
coming.
maybe that's what Andre will get, although I doubt it.
Well, but how do I bridge this gap? If I sell my Colorado within the next couple of months and
Yeah.
the heavy-duty Cummins is not out for
True.
several months, how do I bridge that gap? I need...
We got stuff that you can drive. There's a 27 Model T up at the ranch with your name on it. That's a truck. It's got a bed.
There you go. 1927 Model T.
Yeah. It doesn't have cruise control either.
Wait, but doesn't it have throttle sticks?
Well, yeah, so the throttle's on the steering column.
So that's kind of like a cruise control.
it's as good as. Yeah.
All right, thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.